There we go. So, session is now being recorded. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to share the PowerPoint. So today we're going to talk a little bit about AAC prompting, and I hope some of you are repeats from last month's presentation. And today presentation shouldn't take too long, but it's an all-important skill for teaching AAC users how to use their AAC devices. So we'll go through it step by step, thoughtfully and carefully. And if you have any questions, please do ask. Now, I'm going to stop sharing because it's not moving forward. Let me try that again. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, first, a little bit about NWACS. NWACS is hosting this conference today, and it stands for the Northwest Augmentative Communication Society, and it is one of the oldest and longest running organizations of this type in the Northwest. I don't know how we compare to the entire country, but I'm guessing we're probably up there too. We have an annual conference. It's usually held in October, and parents are welcome to attend. NWACS is run by volunteers, and we are doing our best to serve you. So if there is anything you need in the way of AAC, training, references, anything like that, just let us know.
They have a great calendar too that posts a lot about different upcoming events across all of the AAC field. So if you're interested in more learning opportunities, I would certainly check out the calendar.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure why you won't advance. I'm probably gonna have to keep it in edit mode, I guess. Sorry everyone, just bear with me here. I'll just keep it in edit mode. Okay, so we did that. So I am Margaret Edwards. I'm a speech therapist in Renton School District, and I have been working in this field for a little over 30 years and developed my strong interest in AAC probably around 10, 12 years ago. So I dedicate a lot of my time to researching AAC, staying relevant, and my favorite thing, working with families and teaching students how to use their AAC devices. And we also have Molly here.
Hello, I'm Molly. I'm a SLP at Providence Children's Center in Everett, Washington. And I've been doing this for about 9 years. And I have been working on honing my skills in AAC over the last few years. And at the end of 2019, I began an AAC program at Providence that offers AAC evaluations and trialing. So that's a service that we are offering now.
We were to have a third presenter, Jo, but she is not feeling well, so she's not here. We do have another board member from NWACS. She's hiding behind the NWACS sign, so welcome, Cassandra. And today we're going to talk about prompting, obviously, and the hierarchy, which is really the key takeaways we want you to learn for tonight. And then if you have any questions, but you can ask questions along the way. It's fine. Just unmute yourself and just let us know. And thank you for being here. So first, what is prompting? So the dictionary says that prompting is a move to action. In AAC, it is when we try to encourage our AAC user to say something using their device. So they have a device, and the purpose of the device is for communication. And students have to learn to use their AAC devices. And part of that learning is the prompting hierarchy that we use. And for some people, the prompting will come quite naturally. But for others, honestly, it's a skill that needs to be taught and practiced. It took me a long time to learn to like fluidly use the prompting hierarchy without thinking about it so much. So Anybody want to put in the chat or talk out about what you already know about prompting or any experiences you've had? Well, if they put something in chat, I might not be able to see it. I'm not sure.
I have the chat up, so I will catch it. Sometimes typing can take a few extra seconds. Yeah, we'd love to just kind of know if you are familiar with this, with a prompting hierarchy, and maybe what type of prompting you feel like you are familiar with, or maybe nothing.
That's okay.
So Brandon says, sometimes it can be difficult to balance between errorless learning and least to most intrusive prompting hierarchy.
Yeah.
Do you want to respond to that? Do you have a?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, errorless learning is something that I haven't really honestly heard in many years. So I guess I would probably need more of a bit of a definition of how you use or how you present errorless learning.
My take on errorless learning kind of comes more from the behavioral perspective, the behavioral approach, which I was an ABA therapist before I was an SLP. So errorless learning is something that I do have experience with. And it's kind of almost the exact opposite of least to most. It's not allowing the child to fail. So providing as much support as needed for them to provide the correct response, and then scaffolding that backwards.
Yeah, that would be difficult to sort of integrate with least and most prompting if it's not wanting the student to fail at something. By the way, there's going to be a question on each slide. Do not feel pressured into answering, but we will ask some questions. So this is a least to most prompting hierarchy, and there is there's also the opposite. There is also something called a most to least prompting, which Molly, I think you're talking about with the errorless learning. So, but in AAC, it is recommended, and research has shown that use of the least to most prompting hierarchy is the most effective way to teach a person or student to use their AAC device. So we're going to go through each one of these on each slide, but in general, as you can see here, it starts with pausing. Now, you might be surprised to learn that pausing is a prompt, but indeed it is. Then indirect verbal, indirect verbal, requesting a response, a gestural cue, partial verbal, direct, and then physical assistance, which we use sparingly, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And like I said, we'll go through each one. I'm not sure if you can read it, but it's actually kind of small for me. I cannot read it that well. But this video is gonna sort of go over each one of these. Fingers crossed this works. I'm guessing you couldn't hear that. Just a moment. Let me share again and check the little box. There we go.
So, Margaret, I can hear it, but I can't see it. Maybe okay. Can you share the YouTube link directly? Just kind of.
Just a moment. Sorry, everyone. Just one moment. Let me try and So now it's just buffering.
Can't see it.
So this is not going to work. Sorry about that. This recording will be posted on the NWACS website probably within the next couple of weeks, and then hopefully that link will work. I could also try and put the link in the chat. Let me see if it, yeah, so sorry, you can watch it later at your leisure. Technology. So it was a very short video of less than 2 minutes, just going through these exact hierarchy of prompting in video form. But we're going to talk you through each one. So like I was saying earlier, the first prompt, which may not seem like a prompt at all, is the expectant pause. And here it says, it's when you look at the AAC user expectantly. This prompt works best when if you're going to look expectantly, then the AAC user has to, it's best if they have some kind of idea of what is that you want them to say, that they've learned that before. And you can wait sometimes up to 15 seconds. And that can seem like a very long time because in our society, we don't like awkward pauses, but some students do need that long of a wait time. And for example, I work with a student virtually with his AAC device. And when the screen first comes up, pulls up, and we're first looking at each other, I don't say anything. But before I got to the point I could do that, I first had to teach him, like, when somebody first comes up on Zoom, you say, hi, how are you? Or you say, make some social thing like that. So we did that for a few weeks. And then after a while, I thank you. And then I would, something would come up and I would just have my device and he has his and I would not say anything. And then eventually he would just say something like, hi, or how are you, or something like that. And that was expectant pause. And yes, this so the next is an indirect prompt. Oh, I forgot to ask the question. Anybody want to talk about the last time they used an expected pause? Maybe especially talk about that wait and how it felt. Let's talk about the indirect prompt. So the indirect prompt is a cue. It differs from direct because it's a hint. You don't say exactly what you want to say with your device, but you give them a hint. So here's the phrases that you might say, like, wonder what you want, or that looks hard. And that would be a cue, maybe if you wanted to, the AAC user to ask for help. I teach help a lot, and so I often say, looks like you can't do that. Maybe you need something, or I will say make phrases like that because it's indirect. I'm not telling them exactly what to say, but I'm just trying to say, hey, it's time for you to say something right now with your AAC device. Any other indirect statements that you all have used that like are your faves? Okay. I'm gonna go to Molly, slide 8. We're on slide 8, so.
Okay. So now these are direct prompts. These are where you will tell the AAC user exactly what you want them to say. So my go-to, and I am famous for using this in my practice, is If you want X, tell me X. If you want this toy, tell me want. If you need help, tell me help. Or it looks like you're all done, tell me all done. I know I wrote these examples because these are all exactly verbatim things that I say. And so I prefer to use the phrase, if you want this or if you need this, tell me this. And the reason I prefer that over say is it puts in the choice for the child to do what you're asking them to do versus a direction. When you say, you're not giving them a choice. But when you put it as a if-then statement, you're giving them a choice. They don't have to say it, but it is a way for them to know exactly what you're expecting from them. So if you wanted your AAC user to tell you stop, what is a direct prompt that you might use to get them to tell you stop? Imagining that they don't like what you're doing and you're doing it on purpose with the intention of them telling you to stop it. I'm using my expectant pause right now.
Let me know when you want me to go to the next slide.
Go for it.
Okay. Oh.
Okay. So the last one that's on our list is a physical prompt. And this is one that we really want to use very, very infrequently. And there's different types of physical prompts. I think what most people likely think of first when you think of a physical prompt is hand over hand. And that's where you're taking your hand and you're putting it over the AAC user's hand and you're trying to shape their hand into the right position with finger isolation, and you're taking their hand directly to what you want them to say. But there are some other types of physical prompts that you could use as well. A hand under hand prompt, which is one that I prefer over a hand over hand, because in this one, they have more control than you do. And so what I will do is I will take my finger and I will put it underneath of their hand so that they're doing this. And all I'm doing is just kind of supporting more the positioning of their hand than I am the direction in which they are going. And then some other types are just, you know, maybe touching them on the wrist or the elbow as a way to say, like, you got to move your hand somewhere, you got to tell me something. Some other physical cues that you might use, which are actually more of a hybrid physical visual cue, is blocking part of their screen if you're trying to teach a specific target and they are consistently going to the wrong target. So that could be another one that you might try. What are some reasons that you find that you are using physical prompts with your AAC user? Do you feel like you go for a physical prompt before any of the other prompts? I know that I have worked with many parents that do try to go for those physical prompts very, very quickly, right away. And I do educate and provide information on the hierarchy to them to show them where to start. And if you had been part of our the end of December, we talked about aided language input, otherwise known as modeling. And that is a really great way to start out with, to show them what is it that you're expecting before you put in an expectant delay and work your way through the hierarchy. They have to know what they're working for, what they are being expected to communicate to you. If they don't know, if the word is new, if the target is new, if the phrase is new, then you are going to find that you're going to be going down the hierarchy much more quickly than if you've been training and teaching and providing that modeling for them to know, what should I say in this situation? And I see that Brandon has made a great comment about how it seems that people use physical prompts when the language skill may be beyond their zone of proximal development, which means that the language that the SLP or parent is expecting is beyond what the child is currently capable of doing. And so perhaps we need to work on earlier skills so that they can have success. It also could be that that skill just hasn't been modeled enough or provided exposure to in showing them when is the right time to use it. And we're expecting them to do it without having taught them first. So yeah. So when do you use a least to most hierarchy? Like we kind of mentioned at the very beginning, as much as possible. This is research-based to show that the AAC user is going to learn how to communicate with the specific vocabulary that you're teaching to them if you provide them with least to most prompting. And like I mentioned before, once it becomes more ingrained in you, you can float between them. You have to remember how much modeling you have provided to that child on this specific target in order to know, can I start right here and expect this? And you might go very quickly through some of the the least invasive prompts, knowing that this is still a new skill. But when you have something that's a bit more emerging, you're going to find you need to spend a bit more time waiting and going through the earlier least invasive prompts before you get to the more invasive prompts. So yeah, I would say that modeling and prompting have to be happening simultaneously so that your user is learning your expectations so that you can start using expectant delays.
So I'm not going to attempt this video. I'm just going to assume it's not going to work. Again, the PowerPoint itself should be available on the NWACS website, so you have to check that. Yeah, this is a good one.
And if you go onto YouTube and you Google AAC prompting hierarchy, the first few that pop up are pretty good. So I would definitely recommend taking a look at those. So our biggest takeaways here are obviously that we do want to try to follow the least to most prompting within our sessions or our time at home with our AAC users. But remember that in order for us to be at the top of the hierarchy, the least invasive prompts, we have to have provided teaching and modeling for the skill that we're expecting of the child. Otherwise, we will find ourselves further down at the bottom of the hierarchy. And so we do want to be very conscientious of what has this child been exposed to and what have I been modeling and what can I expect him or her to be able to do with less support. And remembering that we really want to use those physical prompts sparingly. And if you are using them, I would probably recommend a hand underhand more so than a hand overhand, or just some touch cues, or if you feel like it's because they're not going to the right place, they probably don't quite yet know the meanings of the words and what to expect out of their actions and their vocabulary. And so sometimes some blocking could be helpful, but I certainly will recommend talking with your child's speech language pathologist about hiding if you're finding that there is a lot of scrolling. We call it scrolling, meaning I'm touching a lot of different icons because I don't know where to go. And hiding, masking the vocabulary that is not yet something that your child is able to understand or use or need access to right away. It really depends on kind of where they are in their AAC learning process. So, all right. So what are some steps that you feel like you can take in learning or beginning to use at least to most prompting hierarchy within either your sessions with your AAC users or at home with your children who use AAC? What do you feel like is something that's gonna you're gonna take away from this today? Or what are some challenges that you've had in the past with prompting?
Or if you have any questions,
Yeah.
you don't have to answer our.
And you could have, specific child-specific questions, and we can try to address those.
I'll stop recording.